Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Committee on Natural Resources is instructed to discharge H.R. 3105, the Turn on the Pumps Act of 2009, for immediate consideration by the House of Representatives.
For what purpose does the gentleman from California rise?
Madam Speaker, I rise to a question of the privileges of the House and offer the resolution previously noticed.
Clerk will report the resolution.
Whereas on May 25, 2007, U.S. District Court Judge Oliver W. Wagner issued a ruling that directed the Bureau of Reclamation to reduce water exports from the Sacramento-San Joaquin River Delta to protect a 3-inch minnow called the Delta Smelt. Whereas on December 15, 2008, the United States Fish and Wildlife Service, based on the Wagner ruling, issued a biological opinion of the Delta Smelt that permanently reduced water export from the Sacramento-San Joaquin River Delta, which is traditionally delivered to cities and farms in the San Joaquin Valley and the Los Angeles and San Diego basins. Whereas, according to the University of California at Davis study, based on the water reductions outlined in the Delta Smelt biological opinion, revenue losses in the San Joaquin Valley of California for 2009 will be $2.2 billion and job losses at 80,000. Whereas, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the unemployment rate in the San Joaquin Valley has reached the highest level in the nation. Whereas region-wide unemployment in the San Joaquin Valley of California is nearly 20%, and some cities have an unemployment rate of nearly 40%. Whereas thousands of people who once relied on employment in the agricultural sector are now unemployed and struggling to meet their most basic needs, such as providing food for their families. Whereas on March 1, 2009, the Sacramento Bee reported thousands of people have been turned away from local food banks as supplies are not ample enough to meet local needs. Whereas on April 14, 2009, the Fresno County, California Board of Supervisors proclaimed that the man-made drought has created an economic crisis. Whereas on June 4, 2009, despite the ongoing man-made drought in California, the National Marine Fisheries Service issued a new biological opinion on the spring run Chinook salmon, Central Valley steelhead, the southern population of North American green sturgeon, and the southern resident killer whales, which further reduces water supplies to Californians. Whereas on June 19, 2009, California's Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger declared a state of emergency for Fresno County, California, and petitioned President Barack Obama to declare the county a federal disaster area. Whereas on June 28, 2009, the Secretary of the Interior, Ken Salazar, visited Fresno, California, and held a town hall meeting in which nearly 1,000 people attended to express their dissatisfaction with the lack of action by the Obama administration. Whereas on July 6, 2009, the Los Angeles Times reported that during Interior Secretary Ken Salazar's town hall meeting on June 28, 2009, the Commissioner of the Bureau of Reclamation, Mike Connor, pledged to provide financial aid to starving families, and an audience member replied, "We don't want welfare, we want water." Whereas on June 29, 2009, CBS 5 Eyewitness News reported that hundreds of San Joaquin Valley farmers protested outside the Federal Building Plaza in San Francisco, which houses Speaker Nancy Pelosi's district office. Whereas on June 29, 2009, CBS 5 Eyewitness News reported the protesters blamed Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Congressman George Miller for the water shortage in the San Joaquin Valley. Whereas on June 29, 2009, CBS 5 Eyewitness News reported that protesters were holding signs that said, "ESA puts fish ahead of people, Congress created drought," and new endangered species, the California farmer. Whereas on July 1, 2009, the Fresno Bee reported that a crowd of 4,000 marched through the streets of Fresno, California, to demand that the federal government end the man-made drought. Whereas on June 18, 2009, the Democrat leadership held open roll call vote 366 for the purpose of changing the outcome of the vote. Whereas during this vote, House Democrat leadership was seen on the floor pressuring members of Congress to change their aye vote to nay vote in order to defeat the Nunes Amendment, which would have helped to relieve the water crisis in California. Whereas on July 8, 2009, during the markup on the Energy and Water Development and Related Agencies Appropriations Act 2010, a debate was held on the Calvert Amendment, which would have restored water deliveries to Californians. Whereas during the markup, the chairman of the Appropriations Committee, David Obey, said, "Recognize there are certain actions that if you take, this bill won't pass, your earmarks in the bill won't become law." Whereas Chairman Obey violated Clause 16 of House Rule 23 by linking passage of the Calvert Amendment to loss of earmarks. Whereas on July 14, 2009, despite historical tradition of open rules during the appropriations process, the Rules Committee blocked an amendment to the Energy and Water Development and Related Agencies Appropriations Act 2010 that would have restored water deliveries to Californians. Whereas for 2 years, the House of Representatives has known about the man-made drought in California without taking legislative action to resolve the crisis. Whereas the lack of action by the House of Representatives has demonstrated that fish are more important than families. Whereas Article 1, Section 8 of the United States Constitution enumerates that the Congress shall have the power to provide for the general welfare of the United States. Whereas the House of Representatives has willfully and knowingly failed to provide for the general welfare of the San Joaquin Valley of California, and whereas the failure of the House of Representatives to carry out its duties has subjected the House to public ridicule and damaged the dignity and integrity of the House of Representatives. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Committee on Natural Resources is instructed to discharge H.R. 3105, the Turn on the Pumps Act of 2009, for immediate consideration by the House of Representatives.
The gentleman yields back. The chair is prepared to rule. In evaluating the resolution offered by the gentleman from California under the standards of Rule 9, the chair must be mindful of a fundamental principle illuminated by annotations of precedent in Section 706 of the House Rules and Manual. That basic principle is that a question of the privileges of the House may not be invoked to prescribe a rule or order of business for the House. The chair finds the resolution offered by the gentleman from California by directing action with respect to a bill that is pending before a standing committee prescribes a rule or order of business. Under a long and well-settled line of precedent presently culminating in the ruling of July 17, 2009, such a resolution cannot qualify as a question of privileges of the House. The chair therefore holds that the resolution is not privileged under the Rule 9 for consideration ahead of other business. Instead, the gentleman may introduce the resolution through the hopper in the regular course of business.
Madam Speaker, I appeal the ruling of the chair.
The question is,
Madam Speaker.
Shall the decision of the chair stand as the judgment of the House?
Madam Speaker.
Gentleman from Illinois.
Madam Speaker, I move to table the appeal of the ruling of the chair.
Question, the motion is on the ruling to table. Questions on the motion to table.
Madam Speaker, on that I request the yeas and nays.
Of that motion will answer ayes. Those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
Madam Speaker, on that
I
request the yeas and nays.
The yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Members, this is a 15-minute vote. are 249, and the nays are 179. The motion is adopted without objection. The motion to reconsider is laid on the table.